Well, actually, no, maybe I have been, maybe my last semester might have been in the new...
In the year?
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So, first of all, thank you so much for making the time. That's great. So we are doing research around robotic process automation and how the implementation unfolds in organizations, and then also how that affects the work processes and work tasks of the human employees. But then also from a manager side of things, how is it actually to manage a hybrid workforce now with digital and human employees? Cool. Could you explain a little bit around the RPA journey from your perspective that you went on at Mercy Radiology?
Sure. So our RPA journey started due to a challenge, I guess, that we had, which was that we were setting up an online booking system for our patients, and what that meant is that our patients could go online and they could book their appointments, but we were unable to get integration between our online booking system and our RIS system, which is where the RIS system is basically the system we use to almost run the entire business. And the online booking system, I think they were prepared to let us look at their database from the RIS system, but they weren't prepared for us to be able to write to that database with new bookings.
Who is
So the RIS system is Comrade, and the it's called SnapScan is the product, and that's by Akeso, which is spelled like ACE, so ACESO. So what that meant, obviously, is there was a gap with how effective it could be. And part of the reason, it's twofold we were bringing on the online booking. One is that we wanted it to be a really good patient experience. But two, our call centre was slammed. And we were dropping a significant number of calls because we just couldn't keep up. We were also quite space limited. So we looked at bringing on more call centre members, but then we'd need to move the entire call centre because we couldn't fit them into the space. So we did bring on a couple of extra ones, but we were unable to bring on probably as many as we needed. And there was, the discussion around, well, we're spending money on this online booking system, but we're also having to, part of the business case of the online booking was that it would take away some of the calls. But it turns out that people actually were doing a lot of work taking the bookings out of that online booking system and putting them into the RIS system. So we worked with a group called Virtual Blue and explained this issue to them. And we basically got Robbie, that's the name of our robot, set up to be able to transfer bookings out of our booking system into the Comrade system. And it's been quite an iterative process because there's about 800 modalities that you can book in radiology, and there is all sorts of interesting things that come up in that, and particularly also when you have a site that's open to the public. So for example, when patients book, they have to upload a referral form so we can we know that they have been referred for that particular scan, and you often get a photo of their face because they've got the camera around the wrong way, or some people just think it's funny to upload a picture of Grumpy Cat or something, it's you get all sorts of weird stuff. So and there's been all sorts of other stuff that have popped up along the way that we've had to sort of iteratively change Robbie and his processes. A key one of those was that we initially used surface automation. And part of that was because our RIS system is not made for robots, and it uses coloured lines, we'll call them, to block out spaces in the schedule, and that's unable to be read by the robot initially when we started. And so what that meant is the robot was scanning through the schedules looking for a space that didn't have a line in it, like a human would, basically. And it meant that he was slower at making bookings than we wanted him to be. particularly as our online booking took off and we started getting a huge number of bookings.
Yeah.
It would take quite a while for him to process them, and he was unable to read the referral forms that were coming in. So what that meant is that to fully confirm the booking, we still needed a human to look at the referral form, and the humans were waiting for Robbie to finish putting the booking into Comrade before they could do that. But also, the humans were sometimes booking the slots that had been offered to a patient online before Robbie could book it. Does that kind of make sense? Is this too much detail for you guys?
No, that's perfect. So was the problem that because of the Comrade system that Robbie kind of had to go kind of transfer the data from the online system line by line, but then in the Comrade system had to go and look for the different fields, and that took too long?
So if you can imagine a calendar that has got a big red line that goes from 8 a.m. through till 12 p.m.
Yeah.
And then it's got a little blue line that goes from this till this.
Yeah.
And then it's got a space with no line. And then and the little space with no line is the only appointment available that day. And so the online booking system can see that from the database, and it offers the 4 p.m. appointment to a patient. And then Robbie slowly comes in and he scrolls through trying to find where is the 4 p.m. Here it is. So the moral of the story is we have just done an upgrade where we're now getting Robbie to use the database.
Okay.
So he isn't having to scroll like a human would to find those spaces, which has meant that we have less issues with a call centre person, because we have, 16 now in our call centre, and they're constantly taking calls. And what we were finding is that by the time Robbie had looked to book the 4 p.m, it had gone because someone else has already booked it from the call centre, and then he was like, ooh, business exception. And then we had to call back the patient who'd made the online booking to say, sorry, that 4 o'clock slot's not available. So we had to speed them up, which is where the databases come in. So we've kind of, I feel like we've had different releases probably every couple of months of Robbie with various little improvements. And a lot of it also comes through from the call centre, who will say, it'd be really helpful if Robbie could cut and paste the notes that patients write into this particular section. So then we upgrade him so that he can do that for them. The most recent one we're doing is that Robbie is a real stickler for rules. So we try and talk about him as a person so that people like him. And some people get offended that I call him a him. But Matilda, who Sylvia is going to talk to you, is a girl robot. So, so it's even. There's gender balance. So Robbie, I forgot what I was going to say. What was I talking about?
He just follows rules?
Oh, yes. So he follows rules really tightly. So that means that if Sam Smith tries to book an appointment, and in our patient database he's Samuel Smith, or in the NHI lookup that Robbie uses it's Samuel Smith, he says there's no match. Even if the date of birth matches and the NHI matches, one of his match points was the name. And so and obviously that happens quite a lot. People booking, say they're Zach instead of Zachary, or and sometimes people with their surname. Anyway, so we've just done a whole lot of logic upgrade to make sure that he's a little bit more relaxed with the name, as long as we get 2 out of the 3 data points matching and the name is similar.
So what are the 3 data points that you need to get the match?
Ideally NHI date of birth, and then with the name, we ask that one of the names is a match.
Cool. And that's quite interesting. You said, that the employees like him a little bit more. Was that was there kind of initial kind of conflict or negative perception from that?
I think everyone feels like the robots are coming for their job. But actually they're here to kind of help them. And part of a lot of what Robbie does, and some of the new stuff that we're going to get him to do, and definitely a lot of what Matilda does, is the repetitive crappy parts of people's jobs that they don't really want to do. because it's the parts that you can do with logic, rather than